guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a monthly reading wrap-up of all the books that I read in June and July, just so I can have like a bigger variety of books. I didn't read that many books in these 2 months. I've actually been in a really bad reading slump, but I found some really good books, so I'm gonna talk about them today. First book I read in June, I read it on my Kindle, and that was The Locked Door by Freida McFadden. I read it because I thought it would be like a really quick, just fun read to get me out of my reading slump. And I really liked it. It was kind of predictable. It's about a girl and her father's a serial killer, and he's in jail, and people start dying the same way her father killed people. So I know that there's a lot of books like that now. I think it's a much more popular trope. But I really enjoyed reading it. I just thought the ending was kind of predictable. I ended up giving The Locked Door 3.5 stars. The next book I read in June was The Perfect Date by R.L. Stine. I loved this book. I gave this a 3.5, but a high 3.5 and a high 3.5. Basically, it's about this boy named Brady, and his girlfriend died in this tragic accident, and he was there, and it was really bad. And then he starts seeing someone that like following him, and he starts dating this new girl named Rasha, but she's kind of suspicious. It was really good, and I predicted like some of the twists, but not all of them. And I think that it was really fun. I read it in a day. It was really quick. It's super short. It's only like 150 pages. It's a fun story. I liked it. I liked all the characters. I liked his best friend character. He was so fun. And I really liked it. I gave it a high 3.5 stars. The next book I read in June is kind of not, I think it is a book, Garlic and the Vampire. This is a graphic novel, so it's all like fun little pictures. This was so fall. I love this so much. It literally took me like 30 minutes to read this, or like look at all the photos, like get the story. It was so fun. It's basically in this town where everyone in this town's like a vegetable. Like, let me see if I can find a picture. So they're all like vegetables, and the little girl who's Garlic, she ends up having to go hunt vampires. And it was so cute, and I loved it so much. I ended up giving Garlic and the Vampire 4.5 stars, which is really high, but I think it was really cute. It has really good fall vibes, like Halloween vibes, autumn. If you love fall and you love vampires and you love everything vampires, then I think that this is for you. Okay, the first book that I read in July, which is crazy because I feel like I read this book months ago, is There's Someone Inside Your House by Stephanie Perkins. I read this because I saw on BookTube, I saw on YouTube Destiny Sidwell talking about a long time ago how she read this, and it felt very much like a slasher. And I was like in my slasher summer, and I was like, I want like a cute slasher that'll be fast, that'll be fun. So I read this, and it has a movie adaptation. So I watched the movie, and this book, it took me so long to read. I remember. Okay, I'm gonna spoil it kind of, so if you don't want to hear spoilers, then skip to the time that I'm putting on the screen. But if you don't care about spoilers, then just keep watching. So I was reading this book in like 170 pages, like about halfway through. They tell you who the killer is. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, okay, then there's no way that's the killer. Like, there'll be a different killer by the end. Why would they tell us the killer in the middle of the story? But it was the killer. Like, there was no other killer. There was no other plot twist. I was like, what? Like, there was no, like, plot twist at the end. There was nothing. It was purely just, like, people dying. Which I was like, okay, it's a slasher, but usually the mystery at the end is, like, who is the killer? It was weird. And something I will say about this that caught me kind of off guard is that the murders and like how they're described are so graphic and like kind of gross. And I think that this is like a young adult book. I could be completely wrong, but I was like, what in the world is going on? And then I watched the Netflix movie for it, and I was really excited to watch the movie. And I think I put in my Letterboxd review that like if the movie was named something different, I wouldn't even known it was an adaptation. It was weird, like, they had a few of the characters had the same names, but the killer was different. Like, almost everything that happened was different except for the setting and the main character's name. And basically, if you want to know what this is about, it's about a girl named Makani, and she used to live in Hawaii, but something happened, and it's been a year since that thing happened. It's a secret. So she moves to, where'd she move? I think it was like Nebraska. Yeah, she moves to Nebraska with her grandmother, and she makes a bunch of new friends, but someone starts killing all of her friends. So while she's living in Nebraska, it's been a year since her like secret thing happened, and someone starts killing all of her friends. So basically, like, perfect setup for a slasher, like a summer slasher. I ended up giving this 2.5 stars. I did enjoy reading some parts of it. Like, there's parts that take place in October, and the vibes in those chapters were really like fall, and I liked it. I didn't love it. I just didn't think that it was for me. I think that if you just want like a fun slasher, people dying, people getting murdered, a friend group, like, it's kind of like Scream, but you don't get the mystery at the end. Okay, the second book I read in July is Night of the Mannequins by Stephen Graham Jones, or Stephen Graham Jones, something like that. I had such high hopes for this, and it was so short, and I was kind of in a reading slump, and I wanted to read something short and fast. I could read it in like a day. And so basically this is about a group of friends, and one of the friends works in a movie theater, and all the other friends, like, this summer before, they found a mannequin in this river. So they think that it would be like funny to play a prank on their friend, and they dress the mannequin up and put him in a chair. And then he gets up and walks out, and like that, it says that on the back. Like, I knew that was gonna happen, but the whole story feels like it didn't need to happen. And I don't know if, like, the writing style for a lot of it, I was just so confused. And I don't know if it's because of the writing style that confused me, or if it's because the things that were happening in the story were so unrealistic. And I feel like if there's like a walking, talking mannequin murdering people, like, I feel like you really have to sell that to like make it seem like, oh, this is actually happening. But it was weird, and like, they call him Manny the mannequin, and the main character is just so annoying, and they were talking about him like he was a real person, and I was like, he's a mannequin, like, which I guess is the point of like, oh, the prank went wrong, like, he walked out of the theater, but I feel like it wasn't like, I don't think he sold it very well. And I didn't really enjoy when I was reading it, so I gave it 1 star, which is so sad to me because I really want to read this author's other books, but now I'm nervous that I won't like them, and I've heard pulverizing things about his new releases, so I'm not sure about this. But yeah, I gave Night of the Mannequins 1 star. After I read Night of the Mannequins, I was kind of in a reading slump again. I really wanted a book that I was really going to like, and I asked my sister for a recommendation, and she's like, you should read Scythe. So I read Scythe by Neal Shusterman, and I love this book. I love this book. I think I gave it 4.5 stars. It was so fun. It's dystopian, and basically they live in a world with no hunger, no disease, no death. Like, if you die, you can be revived. And there's scythes, I think that's how you say. Basically, they get chosen, they go through all these trials, and their job is to basically kill like 150 people a year, because so like the world doesn't get overpopulated, really. Like, people can't die, but people still have to die, so the scythes are killing those people. And it was so good. Like, this first book was so good. I could like really clearly visualize it in my head, and I just think that's because of the writing was so good. But I love the 2 main characters, Citra and Rowan. I think they're so cute. I love them so much, and I loved the ending of this book. I was reading it and I was like, I don't know how this is gonna end, but I loved it. And there was so many twists and turns that I was not expecting at all, and I think this book is so good. Like, if you like Hunger Games, if you like Maze Runner, all those dystopian series is from like the 2010s, like all those. I think that you would love this. Okay, after I read Scythe, I ended up reading on my Kindle The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose. And I really liked it while I was reading it. It was super short and I wanted just like a short, fun thriller book. And I had just watched Presumed Innocent on Apple TV, which is like a legal thriller, like they're lawyers in courtrooms and all that stuff. And I really wanted to read a book that was kind of like that with lawyers and the courts and all that stuff. So I ended up reading The Perfect Marriage. And basically what happens is the wife is this huge, successful defense attorney, and her husband's a writer who hasn't written anything for like 4 years. And he goes to his lake house to write one day, and his mistress is there, and they wake up the next day and his mistress is dead. And his wife ends up defending him in the murder trial. And I really enjoyed it while I was reading it. It was so, like, now that I think about it, it was really predictable. And I looked at all the Goodreads reviews, and a lot of people did not like it. And I looked at a review that the author left, and she said that The Perfect Marriage is getting adapted into a movie, and it's getting a sequel. And I just don't know why it would need a sequel. I don't really see this story going anywhere. I think it ended pretty, like, that's the ending. It doesn't need to be different at all. But now that I think about reading it and I think about the story over, it was really predictable, and like the twist at the end, I feel like was kind of basic. Like, I don't want to be rude if you like this book. I enjoyed my time reading it. I thought it was fun, but the twist at the end was not that shocking. I ended up giving it a 3.5. I think on my Goodreads I put it at a 4, but I'm gonna keep it at a 3.5 for The Perfect Marriage. Okay, the last book I read in July, I haven't fully read it. I'm a little over halfway through. It is Thunderhead by Neal Shusterman, the second book in the Arc of the Scythe trilogy. And I started reading this book, and when I was reading it, I was like 50 pages in. I was loving it. Like, I loved Rowan. I loved that it was like focusing on Rowan. But basically this book is about the Thunderhead, which in the Scythe books is like this all-knowing power, kind of like God. That's the Thunderhead. And I don't know, like, this book is really long. It's 504 pages. And I just think that it's kind of like jumping around everywhere. Like, there's this storyline and another storyline, and they all like intersect together, but it's kind of hard to keep track. And I really liked the beginning when it was mainly like about Rowan and what he was doing as a scythe. But I don't know, it started boring me a little bit. That's why I started to read The Perfect Marriage. But I'm definitely gonna finish it. Right now it's at like a 3 stars. I definitely liked the first one better than I'm liking this one. But I think it'll be good, and I really like Rowan as a character. I know I've said that so many times, but I love Rowan and I love Citra, and that's like the main reason that I'm continuing this series. But so far, I'm like on page 300 out of 504, so I'll be done with this soon, but so far it is a 3 star. All right, these are all the books I read in the months of June and July. I'm definitely going to finish Thunderhead, and hopefully I'll get out of my reading slump and I can read more in August, which is officially August. I'm so excited. But yeah, these are all the books I read. I will see you guys later. Bye.